So the thing that I hated most about Mr. Sanchez's history of the world in high school class was what he did to keep us paying attention. We were guaranteed that twice a week we would have that dreaded thing called a pop quiz. We didn't know what day. We didn't know if it was going to be at the beginning of class. We didn't know if it was going to be in the middle of class. We didn't know if it was going to be 2 minutes before the end of class. But we knew, twice a week, a pop quiz. And I made myself a promise back in high school in that world history class. I would never, ever, ever give anyone a pop quiz. Until this morning. So, you're going to get 1 point if you know the answer. But because this is a Unitarian Universalist pop quiz filled with love, understanding, and compassion, you also get 1 point if you don't know the answer. Because we're learning something new, which is another form of winning. So if you know, or you think you know the answer to these 14 questions, just call it out boldly and bravely, and don't worry about overlapping other voices. And I guarantee you there's not one person in this room who will get every answer right, except for me. Because I have them all written down. So, number 1, this Unitarian wrote the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson. Woo! Let's hear it for Thomas Jefferson. This Unitarian founded the modern nursing movement. Florence Nightingale. Yay! This Unitarian is famous for his revolutionary midnight ride as he cried, "The British are coming!" Paul Revere. This calm Unitarian snuck away to Walden Pond to live more simply. Henry David Thoreau, yes. This was America's first investigative reporter and a leading black voice in the women's suffrage movement. Ida B. Wells! Yay! Woohoo! I'm impressed. This Unitarian is famous for writing the Peter Rabbit stories. Beatrix Potter, yep. This Unitarian scientist formulated the laws of motion and gravitation, commonly known as gravity. Isaac Newton, yep. This Unitarian founded the Red Cross. Clara Barton, yep. This Unitarian was the only black woman on the planning committee of the 1893 World Parliament of Religions in Chicago and was one of America's most popular public speakers. Fannie Barrier Williams. Let's hear it for Fannie Barrier Williams. 150 years ago, this past week, this Unitarian invented the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell, you got it. This Unitarian was a famous abolitionist, social justice activist, and one of America's first published black female authors. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Let's hear it for Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Google her. She has a great story. I know Lorenzo knows this one. This Unitarian, iconic folk singer wrote, "Where have all the flowers gone, and if I had a hammer?" Yes, Pete Seeger. This Unitarian first inspired us as Hollywood Superman and then as a disability rights activist. Christopher Reeves, yep. The last question. This Unitarian wrote a book about Frankenstein and created a Halloween favorite. Yep, Mary Shelley. And just because you can never trust a minister, our actual last question, and this is for extra credit, even though you've all gotten 1 point for every question so far. This famous Universalist created the greatest show on earth. Yep, P.T. Barnum. Let's hear it for all of them. As I often say, our Unitarian Universalist faith is an ancient faith, growing from two separate and long-standing traditions, the Unitarian tradition and the Universalist tradition. Both Unitarianism and Universalism reach back over 2,000 years to the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. Our Unitarian forebears looked at Jesus as a spirit-filled, 100% entirely human being and great moral teacher. Rather than asking us to worship unattainable divinity, they believed Jesus called us to become fully realized human beings. Our Unitarian roots are anchored in a radical belief that human beings have within them not original sin, but original blessing. Let's hear it for original blessing. They taught that if that blessing within us is nurtured, we have the potential to create much good in the world. We can cultivate our character. They called that salvation by cultivation of character. Unitarianism also teaches unity. This world is one. We are one with all living things that share this earth home with us. And as an earth home, we must preserve and protect the planet. Now, our Universalist roots are anchored in the radical belief that all human beings are worthy of love. All. And if there is a God, then that God is a loving God that will never condemn anyone to eternal damnations. The Universalists said, hell doesn't exist. The Universalists said that no human wrongdoing is bigger than the universe's infinite love. They said that therefore the purpose of life isn't to be fearful and obedient of some tyrannous God, but the purpose of life is to be happy and fulfilled, just as you are, knowing you are loved. Universalism reminds us that the purpose of religion is to recall us to our best selves again, so that we can work together to mend our broken and hurting world. In the words of the late Reverend Dr. Forrest Church, we Unitarian Universalists have inherited a magnificent theological legacy in a sweeping answer to so many beliefs that divide the human family. Unitarianism teaches we spring from a common source. Universalism proclaims that we share a common destiny. So a few years ago, I got a phone call from somebody who had never attended a Unitarian Universalist church, which is the majority of people in the world. They asked to set up a meeting to talk with me. One of our church members had invited them to come to a Sunday service, as I know some of you have been invited to come to a Sunday service, and because they were smart to be suspicious of any organized religion, they wanted to meet with me to get a better understanding of what they would be getting themselves into if they showed up on a Sunday morning. So they were pretty direct. They said, what does it mean to be a Unitarian Universalist? Now, luckily, just the night before, I, like a good Unitarian Universalist, had been reading some of the writings of the legendary Unitarian poet and philosopher Walt Whitman. So I shared Whitman's summary of what it means to be an authentic Unitarian Universalist who lives from their religious values, or at least tries to. Walt Whitman wrote this: Unitarian Universalist. Love the earth and sun and animals. I like that. Despise riches. Give alms to everybody who asks. Stand up for the vulnerable. Devote your labor to others. Challenge tyrants. Argue not concerning God. Take off your hat to nothing known or unknown. Go freely with powerful, uneducated persons, with the young, and with mothers of families. Re-examine all you have been told in school or church or in any book, and dismiss whatever insults your own soul. So that begs the question, how do you know if you are a Unitarian Universalist? In 1568, Unitarian King John Sigismund issued the Western world's first decree of religious tolerance. You are a Unitarian Universalist if, like King John Sigismund, you believe that religious differences should be respected and that diversity does not divide us but strengthens us. You are a Unitarian if, like Unitarian scientists Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin, you believe that there should be no conflict between the facts of science and the spiritual teachings of religion. You are a Unitarian Universalist if, like some of the founders of this country, such as Abigail and John Adams, Unitarians, Benjamin Franklin, Universalist, and Thomas Jefferson, Unitarian, you believe freedom of religion and separation of church and state are cornerstones of democracy. You are a Unitarian Universalist if, like Unitarian philosophers John Locke and Ralph Waldo Emerson, you believe human reason must be used to discern what is personally authentic and true. You are a Unitarian Universalist if, like Unitarian visionaries Henry David Thoreau, Margaret Fuller, Theodore Parker, Louisa May Alcott, Emily Dickinson, Walt Whitman, and again, Ralph Waldo Emerson, he pops up everywhere. You believe that divinity is alive in nature. The divine can be found in nature, that the great mystery of life can be perceived in all living things, and that the teachings of Jesus and Christianity, beautiful as they are only one of many paths to the mountaintop of religious meaning. You are a Unitarian Universalist if, like the free-thinking humanists in the early 1900s, you know that a person does not have to believe in God in order to live a good, kind, and responsible life. You're a Unitarian Universalist if, like the great Unitarian and Universalist suffragettes Susan B. Anthony, Ida B. Wells, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Fannie Barrier-Williams, and Olympia Brown, if you believe that women are equal to men, that they should have equal say, equal pay, and complete agency over their bodies. You are a Unitarian Universalist if, like the great Unitarian educator Elizabeth Peabody, who opened the first English language kindergarten in this country in 1860, if you believe that access to quality education is a basic human right that allows people to lift themselves up out of cycles of poverty and servitude. And you are a Unitarian Universalist if, like Abraham Lincoln's Universalist leanings and the many Unitarian Universalist ministers and lay leaders who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King in Selma, if you believe Black Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter, BIPOC lives matter, and you are a Unitarian Universalist if, like the group Blue, Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, you yearn to transform America's white supremacy culture into a reality where people of all races and cultural backgrounds have access to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and where all people are treated equally by our justice and law enforcement systems. My dear ones, like it or not, you are a Unitarian Universalist if you agree with these three basic principles outlined by the Reverend Roy Phillips. 1, you are more concerned with human beings than with dogma. 2, you are searching for the holy rather than dwelling upon the depraved. And 3, you call no one a sinner, yet you know how deep is the struggle and how great is the hunger for what is good. I like to say you're a Unitarian Universalist if you are more focused on saving planet Earth for our children than saving souls for Jesus. You are a Unitarian Universalist if you are more concerned with creating peace on earth now than guaranteeing life in the hereafter. And dear ones, you are a Unitarian Universalist if you know we need not believe alike to love alike. As my late father-in-law, the Reverend Dr. Herbert Vedder, a great Unitarian Universalist minister, as he wrote, amidst the shadows of superstition and fear, Unitarian Universalism offers a faith that has been rigorously tested in the fires of science, politics, and culture. Amidst the shadows of an age of fragmentation, we stand for religion as the free individual's full encounter with life as it is and life as it can be. Amidst the shadows cast by idols of infallibility held to be immune to criticism, we stand for freedom of speech and belief as a vital center of creative and concerned community. Amidst the shadows cast by every form of tyranny over the mind and body, heart and soul, we stand for the liberty of unfettered democracy. Amidst the shadows of great division, we stand for uniting people in a common quest of truth for the mind, good works for the hand, and love for the heart, which, like lightning in the storm, shines forth brightly and boldly. Our Unitarian Universalist faith is an ancient faith. And it is a faith for these times and the days, the weeks, and the months ahead. Join us on this liberating and loving spiritual path. Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Let me hear, Amen.